All right, we're moving on into the next part of genetics, which is heredity. So this is, for a lot of people, the best part of genetics is looking at traits, or you can call traits characteristics, and how they're inherited from parents to offspring. So this is the section of genetics in which we do Punnett squares. And the first part of this is called Mendelian genetics. So we can take this heredity part and we can divide it into two sections, and that's what we're going to do. Mendelian genetics, so that was learned by Gregor Mendel. And then beyond that, non-Mendelian genetics. So we're going to look at a lot of different ways in which your traits are inherited. But to the notes. So genetics itself is a branch of biology, and it's responsible for the studying of heredity. So what is heredity? So you've heard of inheritance. You can inherit things other than trucks and houses. You inherit your traits first from your parents, and they come by way of the chromosomes and those genes, those little sections of chromosomes that code for a particular trait. Those genes, and remember, they were all mapped out in the Human Genome Project. Those genes code for a trait. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Instead of talking about whole entire chromosomes and how they move around like we did in meiosis, we're going to be looking at the specific genes on those chromosomes. So I've got a couple of videos here. Stop. I got a couple of videos here for you to take a look at, but they're all revolving around the father of genetics, Gregor Mendel. So I want you to look at this first one here. So this is a biographical video of Gregor Mendel, who is the father of modern genetics, who got the ball rolling at looking at patterns of inheritance in offspring. And his big focus, and you can see on this one, and it's going to run through some of the basics of what he learned from studying peas, pea plants. So Gregor Mendel is famous for studying his pea plants. So what did Gregor Mendel say when he founded genetics? Whoopee! So genetics history, so go back and look at your videos. I'm just kind of going on with this here. Genetics history, we've looked at the history of DNA and all of the different people that contributed to knowing the significance of DNA, knowing that it was the transformation factor from Frederick Griffith's experiments and Oswald Avery, who picked up and ran with the information that Frederick Griffith, the pneumonia guy, figured out by accident when he was trying to get a vaccine for pneumonia. And then all of those that put together the pieces from Erwin Chargaff's base pair rules to Rosalind Franklin's X-ray of the DNA showing that double helix, and then eventually to Francis and Crick making the first model. So before those guys, you had Gregor Mendel not having the knowledge of genes, having this kind of inheritance factor, and seeing this pattern of inheritance from parent to offspring. And ultimately what he came up with today, we can call it Mendelian genetics, but if you go a bit further and look at the actual pattern of how the traits are inherited, we call it complete dominance. So there's a dominant and there's a recessive, and those are your only two options. So this Gregor Mendel that came up with all of this stuff, and hopefully you've watched your biographical information, is known as the father of modern genetics and is best known for studying pea plants. So he was just a monk in a monastery, and we saw that he looked at bees and mice, and then finally he saw these patterns when it came to doing tens of thousands of crosses with the pea plant. So if you haven't watched those videos, let's go back and look at them now.